Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Warm welcome. That's fantastic. Well, after that kind of an introduction, I better do a really good job, huh? You think? Wow. Well, thank you for being here, and I particularly appreciated when those of you that are here for the first time raised your hands just a moment ago, because that's why I'm here today, is to speak to new people. And we have what we call a business briefing that we're doing right now. That's what this type of a meeting is, and it's to give you a brief on this opportunity, on this company, and hopefully have you make a decision to join us. That's the purpose of why we're here tonight. It's not for everybody, so if you decide at the end that it's not something for you, then that's okay too. We thank you for being here, and maybe you'll love our products, and maybe you'll join us at some future time. So I am from the U.S. I've been on this tour now for, I forget how many days. It seems like a long time. And this is the last one, so tomorrow I head back. So it's a great way to end, right here in London with a wonderful group of people like you. Tonight we're going to take about an hour, so we'll go fairly quickly through the information. I would like to ask you to make sure your phones are off. Just get them on airplane mode. You don't need any distractions or interruptions. Some people have come from Norway here and other countries to be here tonight, and we don't want to interrupt people around us that way. So if you'd be kind enough to do that, if you need to use your phone or your iPad for notes, if you want to get a pen and a piece of paper, I'd really encourage you to jot a few notes, because this conversation that we're going to have tonight is probably the most important conversation you will ever have in your life about money. And they don't teach this at the university, and most people never hear this information in their home because their parents don't know this information. So having said that, if you can just take down a few notes, I'm going to talk about 5 key areas tonight. That's the body of the presentation. And as we go through those 5 areas, I think you'll see that it makes a lot of sense, that the pieces seem to fit together. And so take notes as we go through that. Before we jump into that, I just want to talk a little bit about how I found this business. I was doing the real estate business in Utah, where I live, and was doing that rather successfully. And my brother-in-law called me one night. It was late. I'd gotten home from the office, and I was tired and wanted to eat dinner, and he rings the phone, and he starts to tell me about this. And I won't recount the whole story in the interest of time, but he said this phrase that stuck in my head for the next 2 weeks. He said, "Nathan, your problem is you're in the wrong vehicle." And he wasn't talking about my car. He was talking about my financial vehicle that I was using to make my money in my life, this real estate thing. And he said, it's like you're pedaling a bicycle. And he said, it doesn't matter how fast you pedal that bicycle, because you'll never catch me in my Ferrari. And what he was intimating was that his Ferrari, of course, would move a lot faster than my bicycle, that his nuskin business was superior to my real estate business. And in most people's minds, they'd go, no, it's the other way. Real estate's a real business, right? Not sure about that one. And I felt that way. But I started thinking about the vehicle. And I started to realize that the vehicle really makes all the difference. And there's some of you here that have maybe never got the success that you quite have desired in your life. And maybe you've tried, 3 or 4 different things. And I'm just here to tell you that you just don't know what you are really capable of until you finally put yourself in the right vehicle. And I know it was that way for me. I'm not as good as all the success that I've been blessed with. It's more the vehicle. It's more the structure of what we have that's allowed us to accomplish the things that we've accomplished in this company and in our individual lives. So let's start off. I want to just give you a little bit of groundwork, okay? Somebody's thought a lot about you to have you come here tonight. They think you're positive, that you're coachable, that you're open, that you're willing to look at new things, and we hope you'll stay that way tonight as we go through the information. There's a lot of issues that are going on right now in the world, and there's a lot of issues in Europe, frankly, and we'll talk about some of those more towards the end of the presentation, but for the beginning right here, I want to put up this thing called a cash flow quadrant. You might know Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad fame, all the books and materials, and he really is the one that created this kind of a graphic. And it's really appropriate for our type of business because it describes where people spend their lives. I don't know if you're aware, but 94% of the people who work every day work for somebody else. They're employees. They rent their body and brain to a company for a chunk of money. And that's what happens. And the problem with doing that is that as long as you're willing to show up, it works, you know? As long as you work, it works. If you ever stop, it stops. And that's why we call it temporary income, because it only works as long as you show up. And what happens is that people end up trading time for money. And some people trade a big block of time called a year for a little block of money called a salary. And some people trade it by the hour for a wage. And some people do it by the job or a project and get paid when the project's completed. But everybody's trading time for money. And the problem is you don't have enough hours in your day to trade for money and try to make that exchange enough times in a day to ever create wealth. It's impossible. I don't care if you trade them at $500 an hour. It's still not enough because whenever you stop, it's done. It stops. There's nothing that continues onward. There's nothing recurring about that type of money. So when you're an employee, okay, if you just see over here, then you have no time and you have no money. It's a job, and a job's just a job, and it's always going to be a job, okay? And you're going to just go back and forth and working home back and forth every day, kind of like a rat on a treadmill. You'll pay your bills, take a little vacation, it's done, and you don't have anything. That's a job, okay? So that's the facts when it comes to that. You could say, well, I'll just retire, I'll be retired or I'll be a student. That's great. You can have time when you're a student, perhaps, or when you're retired, but you don't have any money. So that doesn't work either. That's not that great of a situation, right? Most people finally get to the point after working long enough, 2, 3, 4 jobs, different careers, trying different things, that they finally say, I'll never make it financially working for somebody else. And that's true. They don't have to pay you them enough to make you free, right? So they'll pay you enough to keep you coming back, basically. The only way you can get enough or you can get the upside is you have to have your own business. How many of you here tonight actually have your own small business? Anybody here? Okay, great, quite a few of you. Can I suggest that you actually don't own that small business, but rather it owns you? It's the first thing you think about in the morning. It's the last thing you think about at night. You're the first one there. You unlock the door. You're the one who locks it up at night, the last one to leave. You pay everybody else, and if there's anything left, maybe you pay yourself some money. And you realize after you started this thing that really it's never going to scale without a lot more time, money, risk, investment, all those things. It's just kind of a dumb little business, and you bought yourself a 60 or 70 hour a week job and you took all the risk. That's what happens with most people that say, I need to work for myself. Few of these businesses are well conceived, and they actually really can scale, and they grow, and people become wealthy. That's how people get really rich, is in that process. But for most people, it doesn't end up that way with their own business. And if you have your own business, then you have no time. You might have a little money if it succeeds eventually, but you still won't have time. You got to sell it to get a life, right? So what we do is we do something called a business system. We use a system to create a network of consumption. And it's all based on real product consumption, all right? So it's a real business, like any other business. And when you have this business system, in the end, you can have time and money, but in the beginning, you don't have either. In the beginning, you got to work really hard. It's like any other business. You got to focus, and you got to really work at it. It's kind of like taking a boulder, a big stone, and trying to push this stone up to the top of the mountain. It takes everything you've got to get this thing up there. And when you get to the summit, one last shove will send it over the other side. And as it goes down the other side, it gains momentum and speed, right? Gets more force as it goes. And that's exactly the way this business is. So here's the difference. This is the key right here. This business, you only have to work hard one time. That's the difference. And maybe that one time's 5 years. Maybe it's 10 years for some people. Some people maybe even longer. It just depends on you and what you want to do with it, how fast you want to do it. But at the end of that time, you are done. You don't have to worry about money ever again in your life. You've created a network of consumption that just continues to put money in your bank account every month for as long as you live. And it's remarkable what it gives you, because finally you get time and money together. In this world, it seems like they're mutually exclusive. The twain will never meet, right? Either you have lots of money and no time. That's called overemployment. Or you have no money and lots of time. That's called unemployment. That doesn't work either. How do you ever get both of those together? The only way I've seen to do it is something like this. You know what those two together equal? Lifestyle. Because you have the money and the time to enjoy it. And time is the ultimate luxury. Time is the one thing people have not enough of, right? How do you get that? This is a way to get it, right here. That's what's so unique about what we're doing today. All right, so we're going to talk about these 5 things. And I'm going to invite you to make your notes in these areas right here, all right? I'll stop as we go from one point to the next so that you can understand where we're at in the presentation. And I want this to be a two-way process here. It's not just me up here, giving information, okay? Let's get it interactive. Don't just sit there. It's proven if you don't take notes within 3 hours, you won't remember hardly anything. All right, so let's not waste the hour. Let's make it count for something. So get your notes out, get going. Don't just sit there. Let's get it happening, all right? We'll start talking about market trends. We'll talk about our partnership with our company Nuskin. We'll talk about science and products. We'll talk about compensation. And finally, we'll talk about timing and a little bit of support. Okay, so lots of issues, lots of trends going on in the world, and particularly here in Europe. We've got fiscal issues. We've got governments with too much debt. We've got tons of young people with no jobs and unemployment. We've got old systems that aren't working as well anymore, and new business systems are on their way, and the adjustment is painful. It's difficult, right? And so these things have been going on now for about 5, 6, 7 years in earnest, and it's starting to change, and people are starting to see that change, and that's why we have full rooms like this all over Europe. People are worried about their governments. They're worried about pensions. They're worried about the fact that they're not going to really be able to retire. And so that's a true worry. It's a big concern. And what we want to do is provide some answers, and that's why we're getting so much traction with what we're doing right here, right now. Okay, so let's talk about market trends, okay? The first thing. So what is a trend anyway? People will say, well, it's what's hot, or it's what people want right now in the economy. And those are okay definitions, but my definition is this. A trend is nothing more than where money is flowing in the economy now. And I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy to get billions of dollars flowing into certain categories in the economy where enough people are convinced that those products and services are worth their money, and so they're driven to kind of make those purchases and believe that they're getting the benefit from those product lines. It takes tons of money, marketing, sales, promotion, all these things to get, a coalescing of enough money flowing in a certain area of the economy. And so it's not easy to create these trends or these huge movements of money. And tonight, what you're here doing, if you're here for the first time, is you're acting as an entrepreneur. You're in this room tonight to analyze this business we call Nuskin, to see if it's worthy of your effort or your involvement here tonight. And in the process of going through these 5 points, we will make this analysis and you'll see the conversation. And as we go through this, acting as an entrepreneur, I have to tell you that I see entrepreneurs make 2 fatal mistakes when it comes to market trends. And those fatal mistakes start with, number 1, them falling in love with a product instead of falling in love with a trend. Now you may think that's like, what does that even mean? What it means is if you come up with some new product that is like the coolest thing, you think it's the coolest thing you've ever seen, and you just go hook, line, and sinker for this. You fall in love, and that's what your passion's going to be, and that's what you're going to educate people on, and you're going to get people to recognize the benefits and how good it is, and you're going to create your own trend. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have enough time in your life and enough money in your accounts to create your own trend. That's why so many new businesses fail. It is so much safer and so much more plausible that you're going to have significant success if you fall in love with a trend first. If you can spot the big trends in the economy and then find a way to attach yourself to those movements of money that are rapidly expanding, then the trend will do most of the work for you. It'll sweep you along to greater success than you could ever have under your own power. And so that's a key, that's a secret really to entrepreneurial success. The second fatal mistake that I watch entrepreneurs make is they mistake a fad for a trend. Fads are too short in duration. They don't last long enough for you to actually get positioned and build a business in a fad. You know, it's like last year's Christmas toy that every kid had to have, and we can't even remember what it is right now. It's gone, right? So they're just not worthy of you betting your future on them. So what we're looking for is predictable, multi-decade-long movements of money that are expanding. That's the goal. That's the target. When we look at market trends, that's what we're trying to find, okay? So let me give you some information about the trend Nu Skin's chasing. What is that? Anybody want to mention the trend that we're all about here at Nu Skin? Anti-aging. We are the anti-aging company. We've been talking about anti-aging for a long time, all right? So what is anti-aging? It's any product or service that helps people live better longer and look better longer. You would expect as an anti-aging company, we've done a lot of market research on people's attitudes about aging. Wouldn't you expect that? We have, and we've learned some very interesting things. Here's what we've learned, kind of the crux of it. Number one, people don't necessarily mind getting older. In fact, they expect to keep having birthdays. They hope to keep having birthdays, right? They don't necessarily mind getting older. What they mind is getting ugly. And if they didn't have to get ugly, they wouldn't mind getting old so bad. And so people want to look better longer, all right? What was life expectancy in London in 1900? Anybody know? About 45 years of age. 45. And then they died. Everybody died, okay? Was there a big anti-aging market in 1900? Nope, they died before they got wrinkles. They weren't too concerned about anti-aging in those days. What's life expectancy today? 80 years of age, right? Right in that range. 80 years of age. A doubling of human lifespan in the last 114 years. Okay, that's remarkable. But it's really a rather new thing. This thought, this notion that you can get large numbers of people to live into their 60s, 70s, and 80s or beyond is a relatively new thought. You know, in all of human history, most people died pretty early. It's only been the last 60, 70 years that people are piling up in these older age brackets in big numbers. Okay? So this is kind of a new thing. This is kind of a new market developing right now. Are you aware that today there's more people alive over the age of 65 on this planet than have ever been alive in all ages of time combined over 65? And they're all alive right now. And they've got money and they want to anti-age, right? So what assurance do we have that this trend will continue to expand into the future? It's two words that give us the assurance. It's called baby boomer. Who are the baby boomers? Here you are. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Okay? Let's talk about the baby boomers for just a second and their quest to live longer like this, right? 1945, World War II ended. The daddies went home. And in 1946, the babies arrived. And they arrived at a furious pace for the next 18 years. And in 1964, they invented something called the pill. And it kind of came to a screeching halt about that point in time. But in those 18 years, there were more babies born than almost any 18 years in the history of the world. And 350 million babies born, compressed into that short 18-year birthing frame. Anytime you compress that many people into that short of a frame, you get a huge demographic bulge in the economy. Every time that massive bulge of people migrate forward and inhabit a new phase of their lives, they stretch the markets they now inhabit. What market are they inhabiting now? Today, more than 100,000 people had their 65th birthday. Today. Every 2.5 seconds, somebody turns 65 on this planet. And they're going to turn 65 every 2.5 seconds for the next 15 years in a row, ladies and gentlemen. This is fact. This is not my dream, my wish, okay? This is fact. And it really doesn't matter what you think about it, because it's going to happen anyway. And you kind of have a choice. You know, you can just keep doing a job or whatever you do, or you can say, this probably is going to keep growing. I promise you, this company will be many times larger than it is today in the next 10 years, because this is going to drive it. It is driving it, and it will continue to accelerate it. All right, so you can bet on the fact that the trends are here. And that point is really covered. Let's go to number 2, and let's talk about our partner, okay? We got this great partner called Nuskin, and they do everything. They do the R&D, they do the manufacturing, they do the distribution, they do the customer service, they do the accounting, legal, HR, you know, the whole thing, right? All we have to do is one thing. All we have to do is talk to people. That's our job. We do this. They take care of everything else. So it's a really simple business, okay? So we can give you lots of information, okay? I mean, you know, here's a little bit of graphic and give you more information on this company. We get new awards every week. You know, something comes up, Nuskin's doing something great somewhere in the world, right? Here's all you really need to know about this company. You can put these in your notes, okay? You got your notes, right? Okay. Last year, this company had the #1 public stock in the world for 5 weeks straight. Most companies will never be the #1 stock, ever, in their whole history. We held it for 5 weeks in a row. Now, you can't stay king of Bunkers Hill forever. Somebody's going to knock you off eventually, right? And so, but we did that, and that was remarkable. And today, it's a great value. I'm telling you, it's a great value. So we today have over 500 mutual funds that currently own shares of Nuskin. And these mutual funds are run by really smart people. And they're betting hundreds of millions of dollars on the future growth of Nuskin. I promise you, these smart people have done a lot more research on this company than you have done. And you ought to take some comfort, some confidence in the fact that that many smart people are betting that much money on the future of this company. Maybe you can bet your future on this company, because I'll tell you what, I think it's a way better bet than trading your life away and knowing you're really not going to have anything in the end. So think about that as we talk about this company. This company's had amazing growth, more than $1 billion in growth last year. How do you get a 30-year-old company to do that? It's called age lock. We'll talk about that as we get into this, right? It's a company with a great big heart. 9 years ago, Blake Roney, our chairman, had a vision that no more children should starve to death in this world, and he instructed our scientists to build highly nutritious meals made for starving children. And we have these bags called Vitameal. They have 60 meals in a bag for 20 euros, okay? And for that simple amount of money, you can save kids' lives. And so we formed this organization called Nourish the Children. Distributors like you and I all over the world commit to donate food every month, these Vitameals. And Nourish the Children aggregates these purchases and delivers them to the United Nations Feed the Children program. We've now donated more than 375 million meals in the last 8 years, literally saving millions of children's lives already. This company cares about this issue. We've made a commitment. We're going to solve this problem, even if we have to do it all by ourselves. It'll be 1 billion meals donated, then 5 billion, and then whatever it takes to solve the problem. And we invite you to join us in this really great cause. It's a great thing. So hopefully you can be part of that as we go through it. All right. So we're done with number 1, and we just finished number 2. Did you write down anything about the trends? Did you write down anything about our partner? Hope you got something. Come on. Write them down. Number 3, let's talk about products and science. And this one, I'll warn you in advance, I'm going to spend a little more time on this point tonight because I want you to know that these are real products with real patents that have real results, and they're really different than anything else you'll see in the world. Okay, so we have laboratories on four laboratories around the world. So we have one at our headquarters in Utah. We have one in the state of Wisconsin. We have one in Shanghai, China, and one in Beijing, China. Now, why do we have laboratories in China? Besides the fact there's really smart people there. It's because we can conduct human clinical trials on our product lines for about 1/10 the cost of what we would spend to do those trials in the U.S. So it's kind of like an R&D secret weapon we have, where we can take our R&D budget and really stretch it and make it really effective. All right? So this is something that's been going on for a while in our company. And what we do is we have these staffed with over 80, the slide's wrong, it's actually more than 80 full-time PhD level type scientists. And all these scientists do every single day is push the envelope on anti-aging. That's all they do, just looking for the next thing, the next breakthrough that's going to make the difference. And if we don't invent it internally, we're not opposed to going out there and buying it if we have to. You know, when you've got 80 plus scientists, they went to hundreds of, universities and schools, right? And they went with thousands of colleagues who now work in all kinds of other labs all over the world. And we work at those relationships. So Nu Skin actually has tremendous scientific reach. And we find out about lots of these breakthroughs before they're ever known by anybody else. And we grab them. We're not afraid to strike if we need to strike and buy something that somebody else has invented. And we, right now today, have $400 million of dry powder in the bank ready to go whenever we need to buy things. All right? We have a history of acquisitions. I'll just give you a couple. Number 1, we bought Pharmanex for $135 million. That's become the foundation of our nutritional, anti-aging program. We just bought another company two and a half years ago called Nox Technologies. We bought them for 2 unique molecules that they've invented that slow down the wrinkling process in human skin. Those products are not yet available. They'll come out in a couple of years, 2 to 3 years from now, and you will love what they do for your face. You may say, just in time. You never know. We bought another company, LifeGen Technologies, out of Wisconsin. That's why we have the lab in Wisconsin. Why did we buy LifeGen? For their 24 patents published and pending on age-lock science. And we'll talk about age-lock in a moment. And then the biophotonic scanner. We bought that technology from a major U.S. research university, and we paid a lot. And we've now invested more than $100 million in the only technology on the planet that can measure antioxidant status in living human tissue in real time. Nobody else in the world can do that, and it's a big deal, and I'll try to point that out for you right now as we talk about the scanner. This is our 3rd iteration of this technology, the 3rd generation. It is so cool. Portable, runs on batteries, links Bluetooth to an iPad. You can actually pass it around the room. 30 seconds. You put your hand right up to the opening. Right here, you put your hand right there, and a little blue laser beam comes out in the palm of your hand. You don't feel anything, but in 30 seconds you get your antioxidant score. Okay? That score can range from 10,000 to more than 50,000, right? In fact, how many here have been scanned by the biophotonic scanner? Let's see here. Oh, great. That's awesome. Okay. How many people here score were more than 40,000? Keep your hands up. Wow. Okay, more than 50,000. More than 60,000. More than 70,000. Wow. Impressive. More than 80,000. Hands are falling now. What's yours? 85,000. Give her a hand. That is an incredible score. 82,000 right there. Anybody else whose hand was still up? Yes. 99,000. Wow. I think he was sandbagging, wait until the end so he could get everybody back there. This is an amazing thing, you know. Most people, unfortunately, only scan 20,000 or less. That's what most people scan when we first scan them. What does that mean if you scan 20,000?
That you are prone to diseases and illnesses.
It means you're a disaster. That's what it means. Not good. You're not doing the right things in your life to live long and live well, right? What you want to do is get your score to 50,000 or more and keep it there for the rest of your life. Why do you want to do that? What do you want a high score? Because we know, we've done the studies to prove it. If you've got a high score on the scanner, you've got low free radical damage going on in your body. But if you've got a low score on the scanner, you've got high free radical damage going on. Now, it's not so easy just to say, well, there's free radicals. Ladies and gentlemen, there's multiple species of free radicals, these nasty little guys. And they do different damage to different tissues in your body. How many free radical hits will everybody in this room suffer before midnight tonight? Just because you're a human being and you're alive. 60 trillion reactions in your body today. There's a war going on inside of you every day. And you need to take this really seriously, right? Where do they come from? Well, some come from the sun. They're like photo-generated free radicals. Some come from our environment. Most of them do, right? Some from our metabolism. We're combusting, energy in our body. We have waste and byproducts. Some are free radicals, okay? In the environment, they're everywhere. Like this fake carpet in this room that's made out of petroleum. Anything made out of petroleum is constantly decaying, just giving off little fumes, little toxins all the time, right? And so the chairs you're sitting on, half the clothes you guys are wearing made out of rayon and nylon. And worse, you take them to the dry cleaners and then you bring them home and put the clothes right on the skin of your body and suck the chemicals right from the dry cleaner right in your skin. That's a good one. Good job, okay? You go out to your car in the middle of the summer, you go to lunch and your car's in the park lot right there, right? And you go out there and it's just baking in the sun, Maybe it's like 40 C inside your car. Everything in there synthetic. The dashboard, the steering wheel, the carpet, the seats, and it's just baking, right? You jump in, it's hot, you slam the door, crank the AC, suck it all in. Wonderful. You get off the M5 or 25 and you're so fed up with traffic, you just want your dinner, so you find some leftovers and stick them in the microwave and you just stand there, hurry up. Just give me some of that radiation on my head. Then you take your cell phone and put it up the other half of your head, right, the rest of the day. It's low-level radiation, just free radical damage. It's everywhere. Can you escape it? You can't. All you can do is defend against it. That's all you can do. So you want to get your score as high as you can get it and keep it there for the rest of your life. And if you don't do that, if you persist in a really low score, it's probably not going to end well. It might be more painful and more drawn out than you would hope it would be. So get serious about this. This is, in my opinion, the most important human biomarker you can know about your body. Why would I say that? That's a big statement to make. Here's why. Because by the time you get the bad scores, bad cholesterol, blood sugar, blood pressure, all those things, by the time they get ugly, it's pretty late for you. You've done a lot of damage in your body, your arteries, and everything else, okay? If you get your score high on the scanner, what it means is you're eating the right kind of diet. You can't get it there unless you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, clean meats, complex carbs, and great supplementation. You can't get it really high without great supplementation because you just have too much variability in the food supply. You don't know different times of years where it's coming from and different things, okay? So you just do the insurance policy just to make sure. That's what you do. And if you're obese, you cannot get your score very high. You've got to strip fat before your score can go high. So if you just do the things that get that score high, you'll probably never have bad scores over here. It's like really hard to get bad scores. And you can live long and you can live well. So get yourself scanned. Get your family, your spouse, siblings, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, everybody you care about. Get the number. It is literally that important that you make that happen. Okay. And then we have the amazing galvanic spa, right? 2 patents. Nobody else can do what we do with the galvanic spa. We do this amazing half-face demonstration where we only apply the treatment on half your face, right? Why do we do a half-face demonstration? What's the purpose? Difference demonstrated, right? That's one of our slogans. So we can do half and you can see the difference one side to the other, right? Wrong. That's not why we do a half-face demonstration. The reason we do the half-face is so you have to buy it to fix the other half. Otherwise you walk around like this the rest of the day. I just had this great demo. Right? Right. Okay. So, how did we get out of presentation mode, guys? I'm not sure how that happened, but that's okay. It's still working. Let's talk about age lock for just a moment. Okay. I've got a question for you before we jump into this one. How many of you in this room have DNA? That's a trick, right? Just making sure you're awake with me here tonight. Every hand should go up unless you're from another planet. Okay? How many of you in this room think that your DNA has changed from the day you were born until now? Think? You're wrong. It hasn't changed at all. If your DNA was to change, the police could never find the criminals. So you've got exactly the same code today that you had the day you were born. So why do we change? If the code's the same, why do we change? That's a good question, isn't it? It's all about genetic expression, okay? It's about the fact that the code doesn't change, but the way the code is expressed into the tissue of your body changes. What causes that change? Air, water, pollution, food, stress, chemicals, toxins. All these things change the expression of your DNA. Okay? So, if you can have environmental factors cause a negative change in your genetic expression, doesn't it stand to reason that if you applied some positive influences that you could maybe change it back?
Yes.
Makes sense to me.
Yes.
Okay? So let's talk about that now. Let's just actually talk about how that actually works. Okay? Let's go to the next one. I guess we're just going to have to run this manually, perhaps. Is that right? How do we get to the next slide? Anybody know? I'll let you guys work on that for a minute, okay?
Go down.
Well, I tried the down arrow. I've done a few
It's screen lock, not age lock.
It is. I guess we're not going to change it. Okay, well, he's working on that. We'll continue. Okay, so focus on me, not the slide, right here. Okay, look at me. You got to learn to focus in this business. Okay, so here's the situation. The reason we bought that company in Wisconsin is because they have the genetic expression database. For 35 years, they've been out there gathering genetic material. This is like, before most people were even thinking about genetic material, right? So they kind of have the Rosetta Stone when it comes to the genetic expression database. And that's why we bought them. So we had the key, so we could tell when we got to the right expression, okay? So that's the first part of the story. Okay, the second part of the story, I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys just go to the next slide for me manually there. Just put your cursor on it and just click it, okay? And we'll bring that up. So the second part of the story has to do with a company in Silicon Valley, California. And the name of this company is Affymetrix. And they invented some technology where they call it a gene chip. It's an integrated circuit that can actually receive strands of DNA. You can embed them into the top of the actual chip. Some people call it an Affy chip, made by Affymetrix, right? you can take that chip and you can plug that in. There's the chip right there. Well, it was there. There we go. You can take that chip and you can plug it in. That's great. Leave it right there. That's perfect. You can plug it into this reader, and the software will analyze the expression of that particular DNA. And it ends up looking like this. So here is a heat map that is generated from the chip by the software. And you can see on the heat map some of these genes are red. And by the way, there's 52 genes represented here. Every one of these slices is a gene. So the red ones are hot. They're upregulated. The green ones are cold. They're downregulated. And that's the way it should look when you're young. That's what those genes should express themselves like when you're young. Because of those environmental factors, we get to middle age, and that expression sometimes is almost 180 degrees from where it should be. We're just not expressing our genes, the DNA, the way we should. So here's what Nu Skin can do. They can take formulas of new product, and they can feed them to test groups of people. And after 90 days, they can take DNA samples and plug them in the chip. And then they can see if that formula was able to reset that expression so it acts more like it did when you were young. So it matches better. And this is a trial and error process. You know, we go through multiple formulas until we see which combination actually works on that particular set of DNA that we're trying to influence. Isn't that cool? They can do that. And we can do this for the skin in your face. We can do it for your energy. We can do it for your eyes eventually, your heart, your kidney, your liver, your bones, your muscle, and we can even do it for your fat. We're just getting started with this age-lock science, right? So lots of great things. Look at this lady here. You can see over about a 90-day period, you know, the differences in her face, her skin of her face. And, you know, I'm sure you've seen multiple ones with the galvanic spa, right? Just really awesome. And let's talk about the fat one for just a moment. Are you guys doing okay with this, or should we go on? Is it okay? Or are you bored? If you're bored, we'll just bail on this and go to the next point and we'll wrap it up. Okay, let me just take a minute and let's talk a little bit about this, because I think this is one of the most important new things that we've done as a company in a long time, and I think you kind of missed it. I don't think people here really got TR90. Okay, TR90 stands for Total Redesign in 90 Days. And this is a body reshaping system. Don't ever refer to this as a diet. This is not a diet. Diets are dangerous. In fact, diets don't work. They actually make you fatter. In America, we know because we diet a lot and we're really fat, okay? So diets are a disaster. You really don't ever want to diet again, because here's the facts on a diet. When you step on the scale and you see you've lost a whole bunch of weight, on a diet, approximately half the weight you lose comes from muscle tissue on your body, okay? And the other half is maybe fat. That is really dangerous, because what happens is you'll eventually go off your diet and you'll be eating the regular calories, and now you have a smaller engine to burn the calories, so you store on more fat. Muscle is the engine that burns the calories. You've probably never heard this before, and I apologize that I don't know the equation in kilos, but I know it in pounds. Well, I'm in England. Don't you do pounds here? Yeah. Oh, good. Like, this will work great then. I've been doing this for like 7 days, and people are like, where's the kilo deal? All right, so write this down, because I'm sure you've probably never heard this before, but you're going to get it. You'll connect these dots in the next couple minutes. You'll see why this is really important. Every pound of muscle on your body burns 6 calories an hour. Write that down. Every pound of fat on your body burns 2 calories an hour. It can hang there real efficiently. Disgusting, isn't it? Well, God made you that way, so you got some storage when famine hits, right? Problem is, most of us have too much storage. So it's really more important to have muscle than even worry about the fat. Because if you have enough muscle, you'll burn the fat off anyway. Okay? So body reshaping is all about having muscle maintained or even grow during the process of reshaping, not lose it, and stripping fat off your body. So the next thing you need to know is to go home and take your scale and throw it away. Because the scale means nothing. It's completely irrelevant when it comes to whether your body's healthy or not. We don't care what the whole blob weighs, okay? That doesn't matter. All we care about is two things. We only care about how many pounds of muscle is on your body and how many pounds of fat are on your body. That's all we care about. And now there's new devices today that tell you those two things. That's the new way of measuring your body composition. Okay, 20 years from now, we'll look back and we will laugh that people use scales to mean anything. Okay, that's how irrelevant they really are. So, when you think about body reshaping, don't expect to see a whole bunch of pounds lost on the scale. But expect to see your clothes start to fit totally different. Because fat is that thick, bulky thing. And when you strip fat, the inches really zoom. I mean, you really change your body shape and your clothes the way they fit, okay? But you won't see a whole bunch of change on the scale. If you see a whole bunch of change on a scale, what does that mean? You're stripping muscle. That's what that means. That's why scales are really misleading, okay? Muscle's really thin and really dense. Muscle's dense and heavy. Fat is bulky and takes up lots of space, okay? So that's how you need to focus and think about this. Not a diet, body reshaping. Okay, so tonight I brought some pictures with me from my own private collection. And I want to show these to you. Lars did a great job here too. Lars stripped fat and he added muscle, but look at this guy. This is a transformation over 90 days. This young man is a really sick young man. See this belly he's sporting right here? This is called visceral fat. You ever heard of that term before? Yeah. Visceral fat is the mid-body fat that men carry right here on their gut, and women carry it about 1 foot lower right here. Right? You need to get rid of that kind of fat because it's a health risk. It leads to syndrome X. It changes your blood chemistry. It leads to diabetes. That young man right there, if he didn't change, he'll be a diabetic. And diabetes is exploding in this world. It's out of control because of the obesity problems, right? 30 days later, look at him. You can start to see the muscle showing through. You almost start to see his abs a little bit. You can see his triceps a little bit. Then you get to the far side over there, and after 90 days, look at him. He kept his muscle, and he stripped the fat, right? Look at this guy right here. 9% body fat reduction, 5% lean muscle gain. I mean, changed his whole body. Okay, look at this lady, one of our great leaders, Peggy Kroc. Now, she knows I'm using her picture. You don't have to tattletale on me, okay? Peggy had a pretty good tire going right there, right on her midsection, that dangerous, dangerous visceral fat. So, look at her. After 90 days, stripped almost all of it off. And she's now on her second 90 days of TR90 to finish it off and really trim it up, right? Look at Jeffrey, one of our leaders as well. Pretty good pot going there, Jeffrey. Stripped it right off. Totally changed, right? Even his neck. Look at his face even, right? Changes. Look at this guy. Put on 7 pounds of muscle in 70 days on TR90. He actually added muscle. If you want to gain muscle, great program to go on, right? This is where I want to connect the dots for you. Can we just do the math together real quick? Okay. Every pound of muscle burns 6 calories an hour. 7 pounds times 6 calories. Do they teach math in the UK? 42 calories an hour that he's now burning that he wasn't burning before. I'm not that good at math, so let's just do 20 hours. 42 more calories for 20 hours a day is 800 more calories that he can either eat and not put on weight or just stay where he's at and strip fat. You starting to get it? When do you peak? When do you peak on your muscle? Age 30. 30 is your peak of your natural muscle creation on your body. After age 30, you start to lose muscle. Age 40, you start to lose 1% a year of your muscle tissue. That's why if you don't do resistance training, listen to me close, You have to lift some weights 3 times a week, guys, and you got to do it the rest of your life. Because if you don't, here's what happens. The natural genetic programming is that you'll lose 1% a year after 40, so your muscle comes down. You don't normally change your diet intake much, so your fat just comes up. Your body composition goes from muscle to fat as you get older. Has anybody here been around 80, 90-year-old seniors? How much muscle do they have on their shoulder? None. It's like bones. They lose all their upper body muscle over time. They lose their butt. They lose their thighs. They're just really no muscle. Then they get unstable. They tip over. They break their hips, and it's over. I'm just telling you, it's actually not very funny, but that's exactly what happens to people, right? That's why you have to do training, you guys. And you need a product that actually is geared to sustaining muscle. AgeLock TR90 does 2 things. It's got AgeLock components that help you reset muscle genes so you can build muscle easier, you keep muscle. And it helps to reset your fat genes so you don't store fat as readily. You can strip it. That's the difference, right? Look at this, probably the best example of body reshaping I can show you. Now this lady weighed 1 pound more at the end of 90 days than when she started. Now, if she went to a traditional diet center or a diet shop, they would say that's a colossal failure of a diet. You gained 1 pound. You're supposed to lose weight on a diet. How like misguided is that thought process, right? She totally reshaped her body in 90 days. Okay? Are you starting to figure out what makes you sexy? What makes you sexy? Muscle. Muscle is what makes you sexy. That's the lines, the definition, you know, the shape, the form. It comes from muscle. What does it mean to be skinny fat? That's a new term for you. What does it mean to be skinny fat? Skinny fat means you go on a diet first, you lose weight, your friends all go, oh, you look so good. And you say to yourself, yeah, I look good with my clothes on. But if you were to see me with my clothes off, you would see weird bulges in places I don't really like them. Because diets destroy muscle, so you sag and bag all over the place. That's what it means to be skinny fat. So it's pretty obvious now that the truth's getting out. Diets are toast. Nobody's ever going to do a diet again. It's just the stupidest thing you can do. It's all about body reshaping. Realize you heard it first tonight, right here from Nu Skin. Okay, we're always on the cutting edge of figuring this stuff out. Remember, you heard it first that you should throw your scale away right here. Because it's coming, and it's going to be a huge wave in the next 10 years. Everybody's going to switch over to body composition. Okay? All right, look at this man. This guy had his baby, and he's doing great. Notice his arm. Look at the arm here versus his arm right here. A little bit of a difference. A little more muscle, right? Look at this guy. You know, without the tattoo, you'd say it was a different person. Look how lean. Isn't that amazing? Look at this one. Side shot before, side shot after. Back shot before, back shot after. Strip the fat. Keep the muscle, right? Look at Charlie. Oh, one of our fearless leaders. Most people would say he's in pretty darn good shape right here anyway on day 1, right? But holy smokes, look at 90 days of TR90. Talk about stripping fat and adding muscle. By the way, he's a lot happier too. Look at that. Look at this one. This is a great example of body reshaping. Same weight when she started, on the day she finished, same weight. Totally reshaped her body. Isn't that great? Healthy now, right? Look at that one. Strip the fat, keep the muscle. Read that little caption on the bottom right there, you know. I'm a busy mom. I don't have time. Right? Look at this one. This one's a great one. This lady's about 55 years of age. Look at her arm right here before TR90. You see her arm? See the skin right here? Look at her arm right here. What's that? Oh, a little tricep showing up there. Little line, little definition. Yeah. You sick of your arms flapping in the breeze? Start doing some exercise and get on TR90, right? And look at her back right here. I mean, you know, she's got some bulges here on the bra strap. She's got some saddlebags here. Just strip those babies right off. I mean, look at that after. That is remarkable, isn't it? 90 days. Look at this guy. I met this gentleman in person. He lives in North Carolina. Does he look like a totally different person? Totally different. And look at this lady. Look at her face. Look at her stomach and her legs, you know. Look at her here. 90 days. That's called body reshaping. That's what it's all about. Okay, we're done with products and science, all right? Did you write down anything I said about products and science? I apologize for spending so much time. Are you convinced we have really interesting, different, unique products? I hope you are. Okay, let's talk about number 4, compensation. We're almost done. Hang in there. It's going to go real fast now, okay? This compensation plan has a front, a middle, and a back, really, to this plan. And you can pretty much plug in wherever you would like to plug in. Don't feel like you have to go be the very top person if you don't want to. Some people just want to actually be a distributor, to sell enough product to 4 or 5 people to support their own habit, and that's it, right? They love what the products do for them, and that's all they want. If that's all you want, that's great. We'd love to have you. Welcome. We're glad you're here, right? If you want to go for it, then you can really go to the top. So let's talk about some of these numbers. If what you have heard tonight makes sense to you, and you are starting to say in your mind, this is a pretty good argument, you know, these guys probably do have something here, okay? We do. You need to be an executive now. You don't wait around. That's our first position, is become an executive in this compensation plan. You can do it today, so you're done tomorrow. You can do it in a day, a week, a month, 2 months, or 3 months. Never longer than 3 months. You become an executive, and now you can play the game. You can't even play the game of Nu Skin until you become an executive. The average income was just under $7,000 a year last year for people, all the executives worldwide in this company. Now, it's not a ton of money, but it is a new car payment for people. It starts to change their life, okay? Even that first position starts to make a difference. And then once you become an executive, you've done it, so now you can help other people become executives also. And your first target is get 4 executives on your front line. That makes you what we call a Ruby executive right here. And the average income last year for all Rubies in the whole company, about $33,000 a year. Now think about this for a second. The average time from the day they start until the day they become Ruby executives is about a year. Some people do it faster, some people take a little longer, but the average is a year. So here's what happens. You come to a meeting like this, you find out about this company and these cool products, and you start to say to yourself, okay, I mean, I'll probably try this. You keep your day job, you don't quit that. You do this on the evenings and weekends, and at the end of a year, you've added $33,000 in your family budget. I mean, what's wrong with that? Nothing. That's pretty cool. And once you stabilize Ruby, okay, listen to me for a second. It's not unusual that you might have to replace 1 or 2 of those executives. It's totally normal. Okay, it happens all the time. So what you do is you stabilize Ruby. And once you stabilize it, then you go get the next 4. And now you've got 8 executives on your front line. Great number 8 right there, okay? 8 executives on your front line. The average income for that person, which is called a diamond executive, is $120,000 plus a year. More than $10,000 a month coming into your budget now. That's serious money, all right? So the average time that it takes from the day people start until the day they become diamond executives, on average, is 2.5 years. 2.5 years. How many of you here went to the university for 4 years or more and graduated making $10,000 a month? Oh, I didn't think so. Well, in Nu Skin, we've got a Nu Skin university, and it takes 2.5 years. It's a 2.5-year program here, and when you graduate at $10,000 a month. Probably a better deal than you already did. All right, so once you stabilize diamond with 8, then what you do is you go for the last 4, okay? And then you get 12. You got 12 on your front line, and you're what we call a blue diamond executive in Nu Skin. The average income for all blue diamonds last year was $450,000 plus a year, more than $38,000 a month coming into your bank a month. Great money, okay? Now I realize if you're here first time tonight, you're probably skeptical. And you're probably thinking, okay, don't over embellish it, Nathan. How many people really? You got 5 people doing that? Before I answer the question of how many people, can I ask you another question? Where you work right now, how many people make more than $450,000 a year? None? 1? 5? 20? Maybe 50 in a huge company? Maybe. How many people did it last year at Nu Skin? Over 1,000. We're only a little $3 billion company, folks. 1,000 people making that much money? I got to tell you something. This is not an easy business to do. It'll take your best effort to become a blue diamond. It really will. But you got better odds here than you got anyplace else. Really. Okay? I don't know the numbers for ExxonMobil, that little teeny oil company. I don't know their numbers for 2013, but I saw a report for 2011. This is a company that's probably, I think, number 3 in the world in size? They're doing $250 billion a year in revenue. This is a big company, one of the biggest on the planet. 2011, in this report, they had 67 executives that were paid more than $500,000 a year in cash compensation. Now, they probably got some stock and maybe a bonus or something, but I'm just talking cash because that's what we pay. We pay cash. I want to compare apples to apples, okay? 67 on $250 billion in revenue? They're 80 times larger than we are. 80 times! And we've got 1,000 people doing that? You got better odds here than anywhere. You do. Okay? Another point you should know. When you start to receive bonus checks in your bank every month, once you're a Nu Skin distributor, Nu Skin keeps track of all the checks for all these years. And what happens is when you exceed $1 million of total checks into your bank account over that time, then you become part of Nu Skin's $1 million circle. All right? So 3 years ago, we were creating a new member of the $1 million circle every 6 days. 2 years ago, it accelerated, and it changed to every 5 days we made a new millionaire. And last year, it accelerated, and it became every 4 days we're making a new millionaire. And we just got off of a reward cruise in the Aegean Sea here just a little bit ago, last week. And on that cruise, our management gave us a new update, and they informed us that we're now making a new millionaire every 3 days. Every 3 days. I'm sure they post on the board where you work the new millionaires every 3 days, don't they? Don't they? They don't? What, nobody is becoming millionaires there? Why are you there if there's no chance? Think about that. I don't know when, ladies and gentlemen, that this is going to happen, but I know in the next few years we will start making a new millionaire every single day. It's going to happen. Tell me where else in the world that's even possible. Where else is that happening? I mean, Facebook is one of the greatest success stories ever. They went public in 2012 and 300 people became millionaires on that day. The early employees that got some stock. But that deal's over with now at Facebook. You can go get a job, but probably not going to become a millionaire. Okay? We don't do it with stock. We do it with cash. They're one of the biggest deals ever. We just passed 1,000 people in our millionaire circle. 1,000! And we're adding them every couple days. Okay? This company has the potential to make more millionaires than any company that's ever been on the planet. It's remarkable when you stop and think about what's happening at this company. So, Enough on compensation. Did you write down anything we said about compensation? I've been now 10 meetings in the last 7 days all over Europe, Western and Eastern Europe. Incredible crowds, just like you guys, everywhere. Rooms packed, people standing against walls. People can't even get in, okay? You are on the verge of blowing this thing wide open. You really are. You are in the greatest spot. You've got all the fiscal problems that drive people to think about their future, the pension problems to make people wonder if they're going to have anything. It makes them want to have recurring income. The healthcare costs are insane. They're unsustainable. We have to shift to a preventative model. We have to, because the current model of cutting and druggy is making us go broke. It doesn't work, and it's just painful, right? It's stupidity. People are going to do things like TR90. They're going to do things like the biophotonic scanner because they have to. Okay, every single thing is moving our direction right here. It is the perfect time to be involved in this business, and we've set a new goal, okay? We call it Nuskin 3.0. We did $3 billion last year in sales globally in our company. Our management team has set a goal to do $10 billion in the next 6 years. We're going to triple the size of this company. This is something you want to be part of. You don't want to walk out of this room and meet us in 6 years and you go, oh, I saw you at that meeting that night, didn't I, with that guy from Utah? Are you still doing that nuskin thing? Oh, yeah. How's it going? You probably don't want to know. You'll probably slam your head in the window and think, what was I thinking? I should have done that then. I promise you, it's not going to go away. You're just going to keep bumping into this company 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and you don't want to know what's going to happen if you're not in. It'll be painful because we're just going to keep doing what we do. We know the path is clear. We can see it really clearly, exactly where we're headed in this company, and we just need good, honest people that are happy, that are positive people, that want to be around people that are open, happy, positive. We have the most amazing environment in this company. It's a gift. What we have inside this company, this family of Nuskin we have, it's a gift. It's the most amazing, positive, supportive environment. It is not like your job, okay? It is totally different. I want to just thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope you join us. Please make the decision to do that. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next time.